Okay, this is a video on how I clean my suppressors. We're gonna start with a suppressor that can be opened and that's not in one unit. This suppressor has both a booster and a fixed adapter. So take the suppressor tool. This one is from suppressortools.com. They have a variety of suppressor by brand. This is a Liberty Centurion, 9mm, 22, and 300 blackout. I've been shooting quite a few 22s, so I'm gonna clean this suppressor first. So I just used the tool to loosen up the fixed adapter. I removed it. Also remove the ring that retains the body so I can expose the inner core. So I like cleaning my firearms and accessories so I don't wait for too many rounds. I did wait for a little bit, I didn't wait, but basically there's been a couple of hundreds 22s that I shot and about 100 or 150 9mm round, but because I shot 22, the powder they get to be dirtier. So I'm gonna clean it now before it's before it's too long. So this assembly: the main core, the shell or shroud, the retaining ring, the booster, which is still in one piece, which I can disassemble. One of the ways to tell is right after I shoot with a suppressor, I try to unscrew the component, and how loose, depending on how loose and easy it is to remove them, I know whether or not it's getting very dirty. So I'm just going to use one of these brushes. This is a cheap brush I bought from either Harbor Freight or a hardware store, a set of large brushes, but I like to use them to clean the interior of the tube just like this. I know it's dry at the moment, so I'm gonna use a toothbrush, a hard nylon brush, and if you have a titanium or steel suppressor, you can use a metal brush, but I usually use a toothbrush or nylon brushes or hard plastic nylon brushes. So I don't have CLP, but I'm just gonna use a solvent or Rainmore really. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this, just a little bit, just running in here. So I put some in there. I'm running the brush. This one, I looked inside and I felt there was still some grooves there, so that means there's still fouling or powder in there. So I'm gonna add more lubrication, more solvent. I'm gonna put a lot of solvent. I'm gonna use this metal brush to go through it because my nylon brush was not enough. So when in doubt, just double check. But I'm not pressing hard with the brush. I'm just trying to break this gunk. Otherwise, this would not. It would have been clean, but I'm now being a bit perfectionist at the moment until I don't feel any more groove. The grooves were the shape of the baffle design. taking a little bit of this out here, wiping it off everywhere. Wipe off once. I'm going to be paying attention to the thread, always wiping them up clean, because when threads get dirty, they get dunky and then they can be damaged. So I'm going to wipe the threads multiple times throughout my cleaning process. I'm going to take this brush and give it a pass like this. Because this is an open design, I can see if I'm leaving any tissue or towel behind, so I don't mind sliding in there real quick to wipe off a little bit of the chemicals. Otherwise, taking a microfiber to wipe everything again. Real quick, and then brush. Okay, on the booster side, run this brush through the booster real quick. The booster housing, sorry, so that we can make sure these grooves in which the booster connects are staying clean and not gummed up. So I'm taking the spring off the booster, taking a big brush, although you can do this with a metal brush as well, and I'm brushing the front, top of the spring, the bottom of the spring, and inside. I want to make sure the spring doesn't get all gummed up so it doesn't get stuck, and the booster doesn't get stuck in the forward position. So. I don't want to be too abrasive or too harsh on the metal, so use the right brush for that, depending on the construction of your suppressor. If you're not sure, use a nylon brush or hard nylon or brass brush, but hard nylon, hard plastic brush, you can never go wrong usually, and you won't really be harming your suppressor. So I'm going to wipe the thread on the inside of the booster housing. See how dirty this is. If you do plan to put a paper towel in there, make sure we don't leave any paper towel residues inside. So the best thing to do is usually to do a microfiber towel and a skinny brush. And then if you want to wipe dry, just like this. There you go. And then I always check to make sure there's nothing inside. And I did not leave any residues in there. Wipe it off again. The booster has threads inside at the end, so I'm going to wipe those threads as well. So right in there, I'm going to brush the threads real quick. And I'm going to wipe them off. Okay, fix adapter, just take it, wipe it off. I'll after the booster cap, just wipe it off, run it so I can remove any residues. Good brush on the surface here. And I usually put my clean parts over there and I keep the dirty from here to there. So this retaining ring has very small thread, so I'm gonna wipe it off, making sure it's not contaminated. Now when we put it in, let me apply a little bit of lubrication, just a little bit, especially on the thread. So I'm going to put a little bit of gun oil. Doesn't matter, I'm just using regular gun oil. Doesn't matter the brand. I just put a tiny bit on the thread. I'm going to use another toothbrush just to spread it and then clean the thread one more time. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the inside by using the same brush on the inside. I'm going to take one drop, put right here, and one drop right here. I'm just going to rub it in just a little bit like this. Literally just a drop, just to coat it just ever so slightly, and then I put the cone back on top, lining. If there's an alignment, check the alignment, make sure. Then I put this ring back, the retaining ring, but I'm gonna wipe it off one more time. Wiping the threads one more time using the same toothbrush to clean through the threads. And I listen, if I feel any grime or dirt, like a tiny bit of sand, I will take it out and wipe it again just to be sure. But so far so good, no friction, no funny noise, no funny feeling. So I just hand tight, no tools, just hand tight. Okay, now I'm gonna put this back with the fixed barrel adapter, or we can put it back with the booster. It depends on configuration. So now I will mount this back with the fixed barrel adapter. So I'm going to take it and one more time brush it as well, making sure. I can take a tiny bit of oil, put on my finger, and just slowly I wipe it off there. Then I take a piece of towel and I gently wipe it off with the towel. Then I set it tighten up. Take my tool, hand tight, then I take my tool and I go just one. Cleaning is done. Usually I put it back in its pouch, close it, put it back in my suppressor bag. The booster reassembly, same thing. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of oil on the booster. I'm gonna wipe it off one more time just in case because I put solvent on it. I'm gonna wipe the thread. I'm gonna take a little bit of oil, just drop one drop there, or two, wipe it off real quick. Wipe it on the spring. Finger that had the drop of oil on inside of it, just touching it a little bit. And then I'll take the paper towel and gently wipe off any excess. Wiping off the threads, gentle wipe off. Then I reassemble the booster spring. Make sure it goes in. I do want to check the booster teeth right here. Make sure they're clean because this is what engages in the booster housing. So sit that in there. Perfectly seated. Doesn't move. The cap. Wipe it off one more time. Hand tight, screw in your booster cap. Just hand tight. There you go. And then we dip the tiny bit, hand tight. And then just a tiny bit. That's it. Wipe off the booster again. I'm a bit paranoid with the threads being dirty, so wipe off. That's it. Put it back in my suppressor pouch. In my case, I like to put this at the bottom, press on top, close it. That's it. That's how I clean my suppressor.